Line Media presents the Business First Podcast.
Hi, all, and welcome to a new episode of Business First with Sonia Alleyne. I am your host, and today in studio, I'm excited to introduce you to a longtime friend and associate, Jennene Biggins, who is the CEO of Danso Digital Media Group. And she is a certified AI consultant and trainer. And that's what we will be talking about today, how we can use AI tools and information to better advance our business. Welcome, Jennene.
Thank you for having me. It's been a long time.
It's been a long time. And, I was so happy to reconnect I think it was a couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
And I had seen some of the work that you were doing online. But then we had a long conversation and where you had my head spinning about all that I needed to know, or I should say, you gave me a lot. I don't know if it's all that I needed to know, but you gave me a lot about where I could at least get started in AI. And so you and I worked together. I'm not even going to say how long ago, and in the fashion and beauty industry, in the plus size industry. And what has been your journey from fashion and beauty? And I know, I think you still do some of that, into being now a certified AI consultant and trainer.
It has been a journey. So when we met, I had my company, the Voluptuous Woman Company. And basically, I'm self-taught in marketing. I went to Howard University back then, and we won't even talk about the dates. There was no social media. There was dial-up. I think we had AOL and Yahoo. That was it. Right. But through even just, being limited there, I was able to online reach women across, in the Caribbean, in the UK. And that was amazing to me. And that was back, in the late 90s. And then it just kept going. Things evolved and YouTube and everything started happening. And I began to use it to build my business, basically, to communicate with women all over the world. And then from there, you go from one thing to another. I moved into mobile text marketing. And a lot of things, believe it or not, I learned initially on webinars. And that's why I tell people webinars are great. Yes, they're probably going to try to sell you something at the end, but in the meantime, learn what you can. And through that, I started learning, doing training, working with women business centers. And then in late 22, that's when ChatGPT was brought to my attention. And that's when it was really available, AI, because AI has been around for a long time. It didn't just happen with ChatGPT. It happened way back like in the 50s, really. And a lot of people don't realize that. So I heard about ChatGPT. I'm like, oh, what's that? And back then, and that's not quite, well, this year will be 3 years, really. So new. And learning what it could do, because I actually hate writing. I think we talked about that. But to find that I could go on there and put a prompt in and ask it for, social media posts and even like 30 days of social media posts. And in minutes, it spit it out. I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. So I started telling everybody about it. A girlfriend of mine, her husband's a pastor. She put his information in there and was just amazed. And then in 23, I took a course. I think it was an extensive course, a certified consultant course, and it was taught by 2 African American women. And it's totally certified. You get CEU credits if you need those. And then my eyes were just open. And then from that point, it's just been going crazy ever since. Things have changed just from the past 6 months. And so that's how I just kind of got thrown in it. And I love it. I love the technology aspect of it.
And what was it that made you so readily accepting of it?
Number one, it was the saving of the time. Because as we all know, and I'm sure some of your listeners know, if you're an individual or independent, one person office, it's hard for you to do. You're doing everything anyway. But if you can have some help or do things in a quicker way, that is valuable. And that's what really drew me to it, that I could type something in without doing a whole lot of things. I can't tell you the last time I went to Google to look for something, to be perfectly honest. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. And every month is something new. There are thousands of tools out there that will let you pretty much do about anything quicker and faster. And now with all these different video things, I don't know if your listeners heard about Tyler Perry. I think that was in late 23. He was ready to put almost $1 billion, $800,000 into doing uh, graphics and having people do video. And I mean, as far as, online was concerned. But when AI came out, he said, wait a minute. He stopped. He said, let me see what this is about. So he basically saved himself almost $1 billion. And
Wow.
now it's just amazing. So really now, to be perfectly honest, Sonia, this year, that's when people are like, okay, maybe we need to look at this a little bit closer. And so that's kind of where we are.
Yeah. I've always been slow to everything. Like I was, the word processor to the internet. Like I was slow with everything. I remember probably 10 years ago when my coworkers were just like, you should get on IG. And I was just like, well, what am I going to do? Take pictures of my food? Like, why? Like, what is the purpose? And if I had gotten on there 10 years earlier, I probably would have built a really substantial base. Right. And I think people understand that with TikTok. Like I understand, like when you go on TikTok, you see the demographics are really broad. And so what would you say to someone who is like me, who is, and some of the conversations that I've had with people who are like me is, they're afraid of it's the fear that AI is going to take over or do more than it's should supposed to, or just they're afraid of how aggressive the technology could possibly be and how harmful it could be. And so a lot of us have been focusing on all the dangers and the harm, and not necessarily what we can use these tools and benefits for.
Right. So the first thing I say to them, people have the same kind of fears when the internet first started all those years ago. They're like, what is this? It's not going to last. I think it was a couple years ago, I watched this old um, uh, video of, I think it was Katie Couric on the Today Show and Bryant Gumbel talking about the internet. Or no, they called it the World Wide Web. That was the funny part. Like, what is this? Is going to last? And to look at it now where we are.
Yeah.
And I basically asked them when we're talking about it, I asked them that. They're like, okay, you have a point. I said, but then my other question to you is, what is something, whether you're working for yourself or you're working in an office, that you take a lot of time doing all the time? It's repetitive and it takes lots of time. And they'll start saying, well, this, and this. I said, AI could probably do that with the tool. And they're like, really? I'm like, yes, it can do that with the tool. So it's all in, and I'm sure your listeners might have heard several people say that, yes, it's going to take your job if you don't know it.
Right.
But if you do know, you have a better chance of keeping your job. But then we're in the climate that we're in right now. That wasn't even a factor if you really think about it. As you know, I'm in the Washington, D.C. area, which is the initial hub of the government. So that unfortunately didn't even make a difference as far as, what's happening now. So what have you got to lose? Try it. You can start with ChatGPT, which is called a large language model. It's almost like the Google of the AI, because that's what people know. That's what's out there. But there are so many other things you could do. Just try it. Dip your feet in the water a little bit and go on YouTube. There are so many people doing videos on how you can use a certain tool and all the use cases. Go on there and take a look. Try it out. And you might see, if you're on IG, as you mentioned, this thing pops up. You can learn in 28 days. You can learn a tool each day. It's probably like $20 a month. Do it. You have nothing to lose.
Yeah. I on this podcast, we had interviewed a gentleman not too long ago who we interviewed him twice, but the second time he was involved in a major lawsuit in California. And it was such a big case that he didn't feel that he could really afford the type of lawyer that he would need to win. And so his attorney is Chat GPT. And he was able to put in, the entire case, um, put all the prompts in terms of where he was filing, who was being subpoenaed, all of these different things. And he was extremely satisfied with it. You mentioned that you tell people if there are certain tasks that are redundant, that there are certain things that they can use ChatGPT for, or any of the AI tools. What would be some of those tasks or some of those things that people may not have been thinking about, but they could use these tools for?
Well, let's go on the personal side, which this always cracks people up. So ChatGPT, you can use it on your computer, your laptop, your iPad, or your phone. It has a free app. So you can pick your phone up and you can go to the app from ChatGPT, and it's free. And you can ask it by just talking to it, hey, you go down to your kitchen, you can open up the refrigerator, you can take a picture of what's in your refrigerator and say, hey, can you give me an idea what to make for dinner tonight? It'll say, sure. And it'll blurt it out. That freaks people out. So that's on the fun side. The other day I went, because I'm a homeowner, but my grass looks like hay. And I said, well, and I did it to my grass. I put it the camera and I said, ChatGPT, tell me what I need to do to fix this, the brown spots. It actually told me. So I want them to think about it like you're talking to your best friend. I have a client, this is a client I'm doing some other work for. She actually tells ChatGPT, or she uses Claude, which is another large language model. There's several out there. So you have ChatGPT, which is the most known one. There's Claude, great for research. There's Perplexity, also great for research. And then, of course, Google has what we call Gemini.
That's the
And
one I
then Microsoft
use.
has Copilot.
And I use that.
Those are
Yeah.
all the what they call large language models. And you can put the same prompt. So a prompt basically is you're texting in what you want it to do. Or in ChatGPT's case and the others too, or telling it. She actually will tell it what she wants it to do. And when it comes back with the answer that she doesn't like, she said, no, you're not giving me what I need. That's sexist or whatever. And it will come back and say, I'm sorry, you're right. And it'll
Oh, wow.
correct itself. Now, that can be a little scary for people. But you have to remember, it's a machine. However, it's still trained on the back end by humans.
Right.
So they actually have people that are trained. They're sitting there all day, and they're working on it, and they're making sure, for the most part, that they're keeping all the junk out, the things that are scary, the sexist things kind of making it safe or attempting to make it safe. You have actually people doing that. So that's on the fun side. On a busier side, how about if you can take your PDF or your resume, if you look for a job, say, hey, ChatGPT, I need help writing my resume for this job. I'm applying for a email marketing coordinator, and I work with Constant Contact. Can you help me reformat it? It'll do it. It'll do it for you. Or and I'm sure, Sonia, you've spoken at a lot of different places, you get that call. Yes, we have your bio, but can you take it down from a page down to 100 words? And you're like, sure. And you're sitting there, right, trying to figure out how to do this. And they're calling at like 4:30 and we need it by 5.
Right.
Well, now you can put that in ChatGPT, upload it, the PDF, and say, hey, I need you to condense this down to 100 words for me. It'll do it in like minutes. And you're like, here you go. So that's some of the things you could do. And the biggest thing, to be perfectly honest, I find social media. As business owners, we know they tell us we need to post. We need to post every day or 3 times a day, depending on what platform. And you're like, I don't have time to figure this out. I don't know what to post, right? Well, the biggest thing is you go and you put in ChatGPT, and keep this in mind for any of the platforms. Tell it what you want it to act like. So in other words, if it's social media, you can say, act like a world-class social media manager and give me 30 days worth of social media posts for Instagram or LinkedIn. You can do all LinkedIn, Instagram, Pinterest based on my business. You can even put your website in there. It'll go through and read it. Or you may say, I'm servicing women who are depressed, or, the big thing now is women going through menopause, and give me, and also include emojis, include hashtags. It will do it. So then
Wow.
all the person has to do, and there's a way you can do it, they can just take that, cut and paste, go to Canva, and they have 30 days worth of content. And it figured it out for them in like minutes. Yeah. So small businesses, yes.
Right. And so I guess our only responsibility, well, not our only responsibility, but a big piece of the responsibility is making sure that you go in and review everything.
Yes.
Like your friend said, I don't like this. This seems sexist. Can you please redo this? And so the onus is on the user to not just blindly take anything that is being delivered, to literally go through everything and make sure that it is in alignment with who you are and what your brand is.
Right. Because there is bias when it comes to like the images, and it comes to like African American. You can say, I want this I want an African American woman, in a suit. And sometimes it's gotten much better, even in the past 3-4 months. They'll put some kind of woman and it is not African American. And in our case, when we were doing the plus size, when it first came out, guess what? You couldn't use the word plus size for it to generate an image. It says, "Oh, we can't use that." I'm like, "What?"
Did it not understand,
It
or?
didn't. It was for some reason, and it depends on who trained it.
Okay.
They might have thought it was derogatory. Now
Okay.
it takes it with no problem. So then I had to get creative. I had to get curvy. I even had to use the word fat.
Mm,
And even the
wow.
one was still kind of curvy. And then you say African American woman, and the woman does not look like an African American woman. So there is bias. It's
Okay.
gotten much better, but just FYI, there is bias.
Right. Well, I know you had mentioned that for people who are interested in learning to go on YouTube and find, and I'm sure there are thousands of people who are offering information, but you are one of those people. So tell us a little bit about your company and what it does and how you service small businesses.
Okay. So my company is Danso Digital Media Group. I call myself the AI architect because I helped you build your business using AI. And basically, what we do is we help small businesses, we take them step by step. So I decided, because I do training for businesses, nonprofit, chambers of commerce, but there's so many areas that I can cover. So right now we're working a lot on AI cloning. So when they hear clone, they're like, what is that? Do you know that you can create an AI clone, meaning of myself? I can take that, have it look just like me, have it even sound like me, and I can send you an email or video about my company, or maybe about an event I'm having. I'll say, hey, I'm having this event, and you think it's me. You can post that on social media. So, and it's video based, because what happens is people don't like to read, right? That's why YouTube is so popular.
Yeah.
It's a video or an audio. But guess what you can also do? If I wanted to hit the Spanish market, or a market that speaks French or even Chinese, I can change my language to speak that in the exact words that I'm speaking in English. It'll speak it in Spanish. So now I'm crossing over and speaking in other languages. And guess what? I don't have to pay an interpreter.
And it's interesting because you did send me you sent me a link where I did see you, and it looked like you, your skin complexion, your hair type, your body shape. It looked like you. I mean, you could tell that it was, an animated version of you, but
Mm-hmm.
I think what is a little scary, and I don't even know if you can speak to this, but I catch myself watching certain things on social media, and I'm wondering, is this just like a better version of, it may just be a person, a single person speaking, but there's something that just seems a little off. And I'm wondering, like, is this AI, or is this, so, I mean, are we going to get to the point where we are now just trying to figure out like who's real and who's AI, and if it's AI, am I getting the right information?
That's a good question. I think well, the funny part is, let me just give you an example. And I hope no people that knew me is listening. I did a test, right? I
Mm-hmm.
did a test and it was AI, and it was me in a bathing suit, full piece, of course. And orange is my favorite color. And I'm on the beach, looks exactly like me, hair, everything. And I have a man next to me. And I wrote this quote. I said, yes. I said, we were just on the beach. I said, he knew I needed a break. And he said, come on, let's, take a trip. I received so many likes and go girl, love that color on you. They actually thought it was me.
And you
And
did it for fun.
And the people that they said, oh, because I don't post my personal information on anyway. But for me to post it, they're like, so you start hearing from people that you haven't heard from in a long time. They're like, I just saw you online, and I just start laughing. I'm like, they have no idea. So some people who know me didn't even know that was a AI. That's how good it was. Because it looked like me,
It looked like
hair,
you.
everything. Yeah. Now the only thing that who does my nails, I have a nail tech, African American woman, who's been doing my nails since '93. She said, I thought it was you. She said, but I looked at your hands, and I said, that's not her. So I mean, yes, but as with anything, yes, you have to be careful. Just like a little note to your listeners, if they pick up a phone and they don't know who it's from, even though you may have caller ID and you happen to pick it up,
Mm-hmm.
they say never say, if they ask you a question, yes or no, because they could be recording your voice through a tool that is very cheap and use that to get information or to have a verification. You know how they call, like, can you verify the last four digits of your social is whatever. So that's just a little security thing. Never say yes or never say no. And I even told my mom that. She's 86, but she's on Facebook. And I said, when you see something pop up and they're asking you for information, don't answer it. Because if you hover over the email address or a link, you'll see it's some crazy looking URL. So that's just things you have to keep a watch out for.
More right after this.
Well, please, I interrupted you as you were talking about your company. You started with cloning, and so that's
So,
what
yeah, so I
took us
started first just
in that
doing
direction.
ChatGPT.
Yeah, yeah.
ChatGPT, and then we do regular just information on tools because I love tools and showing, but it can drive you crazy if you try to use all the tools. Figure out what you need help with.
Right.
And if you find a tool that you can use that's helpful and can cut your time, stick with that. So we introduce really fun tools. I mean, there's tools on how to do a quick PowerPoint without all you have to put is one prompt in it and say, I have pet care grooming. Can you create a presentation for me in minutes, not even in like 2 minutes. It'll go blah, 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 and it'll format it. It'll have the content. It'll have the pictures. And every time I show a person that, or a group that, they're like, wait a minute, what?
Wow.
So we do a lot of training on tools and things that
Okay.
people know. If you're in government and you're doing proposals, or even if you're not in government, we all know RFPs
Right.
is a long process. Do you know you can put an RFP in ChatGPT or another system and ask it questions about that? Like, when is the due date? What are the top things they're looking for? So
Yeah.
the time saving aspect is what I usually start with. And like I said, what is the thing that you hate doing the most? But then for people that want analysis, I'm not an Excel person. I know what I
Right.
need to know, but some people are wizards at it. But say you're a business owner, and I said, I want to know, I'm selling all this stuff. Which are my best sellers? So instead of you going and ticking it, you can put that spreadsheet, just a simple spreadsheet of the style, number, color, price and the amount you sold and say, what was my 5 top sellers? It'll come back and say, it was this, this, and this, and this. Now that's
Wow.
powerful because you're like, okay,
Yeah.
I saved time. I don't have to go through all the paperwork and find out. And maybe I need to, do more, buy more of that. So those are the things we do.
Yeah.
And
I
it
know
can be used on any
personally,
industry.
and you're absolutely right, because I love it for the research aspect of it. I haven't asked it to do a lot of writing yet. I think I'm a little nervous because
You're
I am a writer. And
right.
so sometimes if it comes back better than how I would have done it, I kind of feel a way about that. But I love the research aspect of it. And so just recently, a friend asked me to look at a letter that from a financial institution that was from a different country, and it was able to tell me the full name of the financial institution. Well, the name was on the letter, but they were also able to give me the address, the correct phone numbers, because the correct SWIFT code. They were even able to say, I asked if the fax number was a legitimate fax number, and they were like, no, that's from another city. It's not from the city. Like, I was surprised at the level of detail that I was able to get in terms of fact checking, to your point earlier, that I may not have gotten out of Google if I had just
Right.
dropped that information in Google.
And guess what you could do now? I don't know code as far as writing it. That's not my
Right.
thing. But they have it now. An example of it is Canva. If any of your users have ever used Canva,
I've used it. Yeah.
love it. And they've been around 10 years, and every year they blow our minds. Well, do you know at now Canva has it where they have Canva Code, which is in the same platform that you pay. I think it's maybe $14.99 a month. You
Hmm.
can talk to and say, hey, can you create me a dashboard of all the women, or I want to use it to collect data on this, this, and this. Do you know it will do it by you just talking or coming up with the idea? You don't have
Wow.
to know the code. It
So
would create
Canva
it
will
for
do
you.
that now.
Canva will do that. Even ChatGPT, you can say it has a coding section in it. Most of those advanced things in ChatGPT, you need a paid version. But trust me,
Right.
for $20, it's worth it. And you can
Wow.
talk to it. You can tell it what you want to do. You can say, I need deep research on this. It will take a little longer, but it'll give it to you. And keep in mind, prompts can be short, or there are very, very long prompts. I mean, you can ask it to do something very detailed, and it will go through the process and do it. So it's just, the limit is limitless at this point, and I think that's why I like it so much.
Right. How much information can you put inside of any of these prompts? Like, if you have proprietary information
Well,
and
that's what they
you
tell you. Don't put proprietary information in it
okay,
because I hate to interrupt you, but remember, it's training the system on your information. So
right,
keep that in mind. Never put any, social security numbers, credit card numbers, anything that you don't want possibly shared. And people are like, well,
okay,
I'm worried about that. It's like, but you're on the internet putting the same information in. Same thing.
right,
So
right.
never put proprietary information in.
Including business ideas or things that may be unique
Yeah,
to, so
be
you
like
can
be vague,
okay,
and say, I need you to give me 10 ideas for starting an X business. That's kind of general. And you got to think about it too. People could go to Google and do the same thing,
right,
and there's no
right,
guardrails there. So just keep
right,
that in mind. Yeah, keep it in mind.
what are some of the exchanges with your clients? Like, what are clients surprised about? What are they happy about? What has been some of the feedback
Some of
for
the
those who are
feed
discovering the benefits?
What I'm still very surprised at is when I maybe training a new group and I'm showing you in your mind think, oh, they probably know this because you're thinking, oh, they're going to YouTube. But every time it never fails. I always ask, have you used ChatGPT? You may have. I did a workshop for the Northern Virginia Black Chamber of Commerce last week, and I did mine just on clothing because I only had like 20 minutes. And I said, how many of you have used ChatGPT? Maybe half the room. And it was about maybe 40 people. But when I asked about the other things, Perplexity, Claude, even Canva, do you know the numbers kept going down? And I'm like, oh. And I said, how many of you wish you could make yourself a double? Everybody's hand went up. But then we showed them the gamma. They were floored. They're like, wait a minute, what? And we asked the person, my another cohort member, she said, just tell me, what do you want me to do a presentation on? And the woman said, do something on Juneteenth. How do I, create an event for Juneteenth? When she put that one line in and it started spitting stuff out, including pictures, she's like, whoa. And it was a mixed crowd. And I have an image. And because I was watching her when she did this, there was a man, he was sitting there with his arms, folded, looking. When it started spitting out his mouth, he said, and I caught his picture. So it's those things they're just amazed that it can do that. Because if they're not doing it on a daily basis, they're surprised. And I think they're surprised at the speed, if nothing else. They're surprised. They're like, oh my God, you mean you could do that in that little time? Like, So they're surprised at the speed. But believe it or not, and I think you and I talked about, our kids aren't getting the information. The schools are terrified they're so busy talking about plagiarism, they're totally missing the mark. But there's even things that you can use, tools. You write it in. People have written books. I'm in the process of writing 2 books. The women that I went through the event, the training with, and I've actually done it with another third Black woman, which I'm so excited about, Dr. Kim West. We put it, in there, and they're like, oh my God, I didn't know I could do this. I can't believe it took this shorter time. Do you know how long I usually would take to do this? I'm like, So think of it as a time saver, if nothing else.
I want to make sure that the listeners, know all that you offer. I know you talked about cloning, boosting productivity, but you can also help train in marketing.
Oh, yes, definitely train in marketing. So if you're not familiar with marketing, or you need a marketing plan, you're like, I don't know how to write a marketing plan, you can go to ChatGPT, where you can work with us and go and find out. You can just say, I need a marketing plan to market my widget. And the target audience is women. I have my cousin, she's doing a coloring book for adult women, but it's really adult because it has not so nice language, like when you're in a bad mood. So she's doing that. And she's targeting, I think she's targeting women 30 and up, and mothers. She's going through that. And they're even now working on a podcast that's for single mothers or divorced mothers, talking about the different things that they've gone through, from the kids telling you at 11 o'clock they have a project due in the morning, all those things. And I'm sure you've been through that too. So you're that community is coming together. It's very quick now for communities to come together. Just to let you know, example, there's a young lady on Instagram. Her name is Just Being Melanie, excuse me. She started this group for perimenopausal and menopausal women because she was just frustrated. Do you know she is up to 1 million people?
Wow.
She's not offering nothing. It's just a common thing that she just, like a movement, because she was frustrated with her kids. I think she has boys. And she was going through menopause and perimenopause. And she started this We Do Not Care club. And she sits there and says, we do not care. And she has like these 2 pair of glasses on. She might have a hat, a baseball hat to the side. It is hilarious. And women are loving it because they're feeling the same way. So you can even start something like that. And say she wanted to, for example, go on and say, hey, ChatGPT, I have this large group of women this age, they're going through this. What are 10 things I could do to sell them? Or she may want to create an ebook. What kind of ebook would they be willing to buy? Do you know ChatGPT or any others will give her that information, or Gemini, and say, hell, you can try this, 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 and this. So the speed is amazing at what it can give you.
So Chat GPT has become like Kleenex, right? It's the term. There's a lot of different brands out here, but everybody has been saying, Chat GPT.
That's the
You
most
mentioned
well-known one.
Claude. Yeah, you mentioned Claude and you mentioned Perplexity.
And
I
Microsoft Copilot, excuse me.
Right. And Microsoft and Copilot is if you have Microsoft, right? If you have the suite,
Mm-hmm.
Microsoft Suite, Copilot comes with it.
And
And
Gemini.
Gemini, if you have Google, right,
Mm-hmm.
then if you're using that as a browser, you can actually sign up
Mm-hmm.
for
Yeah.
Gemini as well. And so you're saying that they're all like people can check into all of them or any of them, or would you
And
recommend
also
one
now,
or two over the others?
either one. Some people like one over the other because the
Mhm.
information it gives them. Like the
Right.
lady I was telling you about, there's a client, she prefers Claude over ChatGPT because it can give her more detailed information.
Okay.
And so it really is a preference thing, really. You can take the same prompt, put it in ChatGPT, put it in Gemini, put it in Microsoft Copilot, and see what the difference is. Is the information all the same? Is
Yeah.
it giving you different things? And you can do that for free. So whatever works for you, that's a great way. Perplexity people like that more because it gives you the answers, but it also gives you the sources. ChatGPT started
Okay.
doing that probably in the last 6 or 7 months because believe it or not, when it first came out, it didn't give you the sources. It was trained
Right.
up to a certain year. At the time, it was
Oh, okay.
23.
Okay.
Anything after 23, it wouldn't give it. But now it's giving you sources. It's telling you could go to, Pew Research. So it's giving you that now. But
Okay.
Perplexity at the time filled that void when ChatGPT didn't. Yeah.
And should people be concerned that I know ChatGPT does? I don't know if the other ones do, but ChatGPT will develop a profile on you. So the more that you interact with it, the more information that you put in, the more it understands about who you are. And so I've heard that
Mhm.
it gives dating advice, it will give job advice,
Right.
it
And you
will
can train
give.
it. So
Okay.
many people don't realize, and you can train it, and you can train. I haven't used Copilot, but I understand you can train Copilot in general. By train, I mean
Okay.
I'll take ChatGPT for example. You can say, I want you to be my ghostwriter. Tell me what my tone is. Because there's certain things I know when I'm
Hmm.
training, probably when you're talking, you say certain things. You
Right.
can you can put that prompt in and you can tell it, I'm going to give you 3 pieces of information to learn my voice. One could be your bio, and the other two can be transcripts of maybe a webinar you did or something, or an article you wrote. You have a lot of stuff. It'll tell you what your tone is, phrases that you say often. Um, if you're like I do a lot of training, it says you're very informational, but you're warm and inviting. And I was like, that is me. And then in ChatGPT, there's an area under the settings where you can put that information. You can upload your bio and upload the tone and style, and you turn it on. So it says, okay. So even when I call it on my phone, I said, hey, ChatGPT, and she'll say, hey, Jennene, how you doing? So that kind of freaked me out the first time. I'm like, and I said, can you help me with something? She said, sure. I was like, okay. So it is a little crazy, but hey, you do what you have to do.
Tell us how we can get in touch with you if we're interested in your services. I know you do a couple of programs. You do a free program on
Yes,
Mondays.
on Monday we do one called Marketing Mondays every other Monday
Uh-huh.
from 7:30 to 8:30. We just did one last week, so not this week, the following. And I do that for new people. We have people come on there, and I go over different tools, things they could try, digital marketing, and it starts to being a family. We also introduce ourselves. So the other day we were on, we had a woman. She has a home. It's called Visiting Angels for home people. Then we had a new person that came on who's now a nurse in that area. I said, well, you two need to get
Wow.
together and they're going to connect.
Yeah.
So we do that. So we also have coming up on the end of the month a cloning workshop, which I do for 2.5 hours. So if they text the word clone me to the number 202-410-5669, you'll get the information for that.
Okay.
And then,
And
of
just
course, my
repeat that one more
website.
time. Repeat the number
Yes,
one more time.
text the word clone, CLONE me, ME. And the phone number is 202-410-5669. And it'll get you on the list. And I'll send you the information. It's going to be on the 29th on a Sunday. We did it during the week. We did in April. We're doing it on the weekend now. My handle on LinkedIn was my old company, J Biggins Consulting. Or you can go on my Instagram is Danso Digital. Facebook is Danso Digital Media. But if you go to my website, they're all on there. It's Danso, DANSO, Digital Media Group.com.
All righty.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Jennene. And
Thank
you know,
you for having me.
as the technology is changing, we need to have you back so you can keep us updated
And it changes
on what we
often.
need to be. And it changes so often. I think
Yes.
that's what was having my head spinning, because
Mhm.
I'm just now catching on to certain things, and there's so many more that you can add and
You can try one thing at a time. I tell people
right.
don't, because you can get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
You can't get over.
Yeah.
Just try one thing at a time and see how that works for you. Then add on another thing.
Yeah.
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 And attend webinars. That's how I learned
Yeah.
before I actually dove in and took a class.
Right. And
Mhm.
to your point too, there are a lot of tutorials on YouTube as well. And
Yes.
so, yeah, the good thing is that we are living in a space, in a time where the information is abundant. And so you just have to find your favorite person, your favorite content creator,
Right.
favorite podcast to be able to, and you should be
Yeah.
able to get all the information that you need.
And the other thing I would like to emphasize to people, if you have children, whether they're little or whether they're teenagers or in college, talk to them about it. What are they using it for? Are they using it? Because some don't like using it, because especially the artsy. I have a niece, and she draws, and she doesn't like AI because she's like, it's taking the value of my work. I'm like, girl, we can take your work, put it in there, multiply it, and we can keep moving. But find out what they're doing, and also talk to them,
Yeah.
whatever grade, about their school. What is your school doing? Is it just talking about AI about plagiarism? Which a lot of them unfortunately are, because we have to, and that's one of my goals, work with our young kids, because they are missing the mark. They could start a business selling t-shirts that they designed on
Yeah.
Canva, just like, things like that. So I urge you to talk to your kids, your grandkids, your nieces and nephews about it.
Yeah. You actually brought up a whole nother topic that we could have, is AI for creatives, because creatives, and I consider myself a creative,
Yes.
we are probably the last that are, or probably the most resistant
Yeah.
to
Understandable.
AI. Yeah, because we worry about the technology taking away, as your niece says, the value of what we create. But
Mhm.
as I'm learning from you and from others, that there's still ways that we can enhance even the things that we're doing. We can still use
Mhm.
AI to enhance those things
Yes.
without losing any integrity in the work.
Mhm.
And
Right.
so, so that might be something for us to talk about later on
Yeah,
down the line.
definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, thank you again. I'm
Well,
looking
thank you
forward
for
to staying in
having me.
touch and
Well, we're going to
continuing
come
this
back. I
conversation.
think we should come
Yes.
back in a few months after we work with you to do some things and
Exactly, because
see
I'm the
what
test. I'm
happens.
the test project. So
Yes.
yes, I'm really excited about that. I'm excited about working with you. So that would
Yeah.
actually be a really great idea,
Yeah.
to come back and just tell everybody all the stuff that
Especially
I've
as a
learned
creative,
and how I've
I
advanced.
think that would be a great article, and also maybe having other creatives on. How are you using it as a creative? Because I'm not a creative in that respect. So really talking to them
Yeah.
and
I like that
finding out.
idea. Yeah, because the again, the most resistant folks are those who, I was
Mm-hmm.
speaking to an artist yesterday, and he said I spoke to two graphic artists recently, and both of them had talked about how, like, they're not on it at all. Like, they don't like Canva. They haven't checked for Chat GPT. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, they're worried about the work integrity. And that's a big conversation.
Yeah, definitely.
And so,
And that's
yeah,
understandable. That is totally understandable. But maybe use it just from a marketing aspect. But I always tell people too,
exactly.
if you have a website online, people can go to your site, save your information, or take a
Yeah.
screenshot of it, feed it into ChatGPT, and that's just where we are. It's just a reality.
Yeah. Yeah.
So beat them to the
All right.
punch.
Exactly. So much to talk about and so much
Yes,
to discover. Thank you,
yes.
Jennene.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Thank you for having me. Good seeing you again.
Same here, same here. And thank you all for listening. We'll be back again next week with another great guest. Take care.
The Business First podcast is hosted and produced by Sonia Alleyne. Executive producer Ken Johnson. Find the Business First podcast on Apple Podcast, Stitcher, Spotify, Odyssey, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, TuneIn, or wherever you get your podcast. On social media on IG at business_first_podcast. Follow the Mean Old Line Media Podcast Network on IG at Mean Old Line Media. Get the Mean Old Line Media app in the App Store or Google Play. The Business First Podcast is a Mean Old Line Media production.